Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. This project was started a month ago, and then I got into this major organization mode because it just seemed like everything was caving in on me and I was unable to create. The beauty of that was that during the reorganization, the organization period process, is I found a lot of background papers, a lot of papers that I haven't used, and they're perfect for these two projects. And these projects are so simple, seriously. I mean, everybody has probably already made these or knows how to make these, especially this one. You probably make a version of this as pockets in junk journals. But through the cleaning and this and that, I found a lot of papers that are perfect for this. A lot of things that we throw away or try to find another way to repurpose, and this is great for that. The first part of it is these little gift card holders, and this one is made from packing paper. Have junk mail envelopes, some decoupaged book page with a napkin, and this one has alcohol inks and Mod Podge on it, but I thought it was really pretty. And then I did have some pieces of scrap paper that I used. This was not this color. I grunged it up. Of course, you know I can't help myself. This is packing paper. More junk mail envelope. Do have some scrapbook paper here, but they've been spray painted with distress inks and then just add a little eyelash trim. More scrapbook paper. Scrapbook paper. This was a jelly print. I thought that turned out really cute. And this band can come off so that if they wanted to keep it or put it on something else for, you know, like if you gave it for their birthday or whatever, they would have this piece to keep. You know, I thought that was kind of neat. This is more jelly printing paper on book page. Scrapbook paper and a couple of punches. Scrapbook paper. Just hung a few little things on a bow pin. And more junk mail envelope. But that's kind of the reasoning for me showing you these things, is not really this tutorial on how to do it as much as think of all the things that you have, whether it be, you know, wallpaper, scrap paper, junk mail, packing paper. You can make all of these things out of any of those. I don't know if you remember, I had a tutorial on laminating napkins, and this is one of those laminated napkins. Now, only one side is laminated, as I cut them apart and kept the white piece to paint on. But anyway, I made one of the gift bags out of that. Everything on this gift bag just happened to be leftovers of things that I found through the cleaning. This is some sticky embellishment that was the perfect amount to go around this. Some leftover yarn, that's that soft plushy yarn. And this was a die cut, and I just put it on a piece of the raised tape, you know, I can't think of what it's called right now. But anyway, because I thought they could take it off and put this on something else and keep that part as a memento. Plus the bag is really neat. This one I just made out of scrapbook. This is made out of wallpaper. And this one I put a pocket on it, embossed the pocket. This is vellum. And then I just made a ticket for junk journalers. It would be a ticket, but I thought it could be the card, you know, to say happy birthday or this is especially for you or whatever, and put that in the front. If you had a birthday card, you could just slide it down in there. Or even, you know, if you had a gift card, you could put it down in there. Everything stays together. You know, normally in a gift, when you give a gift bag, you put the card inside and hope it doesn't get lost. I thought that was kind of a cool way to make sure it didn't. This one I just made out of regular scrapbook paper, a 12 by 12 sheet. And this was one of the first ones I did just to get down how to do it. There's no measuring. You can use any size. This is packing paper that I painted on, scrunched it up, folded it over and did some tearing because I liked how that looked kind of rustic. I thought that made a pretty gift bag. I didn't put any handles on this one yet. This one is old dictionary page, and I glued that to packing paper just to give it a little bit of sturdiness. I used some leftover strips of muslin as the handles, so it's a pretty good size bag. And then I did sew around this one before I made it into the bag, and just put a little charm on a bow pin. And then I found some mamagami paper that I had made in a previous video. I'll link it below as well. And I have to say, I think the mamagami paper was my favorite to make these little bags out of, because it's the perfect thickness and it was very sturdy. But I did use some of the dictionary page on this one just because I liked it on the top, and I don't know, I thought it gave it kind of a neat look. But I used that mamagami and some dictionary and just twine on this one. I thought that turned out so cool. I used junk mail envelope to make a little bag. Aren't they cute? And then this one is packing paper that I used some of those distress crayons and colored on it, used a little water to move it around, and then just did some stamping and formed it into a bag. And I guess if you know, basically you'll find out what size bag you want once you see how big, you know, the 12 by 12 makes one. Then you will be able to estimate how wide you need your paper, how deep, that kind of thing. But I'm going to show you real quick here how to make the bags and the cards. And also I wanted to show you in the bottom of these bags, I also used, and you could use boxes, you know, like scrap boxes, you know, from your cereal boxes, crackers, whatever. And I cut a little piece for the bottom so that it would have a little bit more sturdiness and stand up better. I think that helped it. I like that. I mean, they're paper bags. You would use them the same as you would if you went to the $1.25 tree and bought one. I mean, they're that sturdy. You wouldn't want to put, you know, a 50-pound dumbbell in them or anything like that, but they are sturdy. Oh, and here's another one. I made this one from roll-off paper when I was doing some gel printing, and I had some roll-off paper. So I just stamped it and made a small little bag out of it. Here's one more. Sorry, I just keep finding them. This was packing paper that I had decoupaged a napkin to and made a little bag out of it. And I sewed some lace around the top, and I did sew this one before I glued it all up. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to make them, and then use your imagination. Make them out of anything and everything that you have, because anything will work. So I think I'm going to start with the bag, and I'm going to use just regular scrapbook paper so that you can see what the measurements would be, you know, see how to fold. And then from there, you can do it, you know, seriously, you can use any shape of paper. I shouldn't say any shape, because it kind of needs to be, you know, have good straight edges, but you can make it any size that you want to. So this is a 12 by 12 sheet, and I'm going to cut it down to 10 by 12, because actually I'm going to cut it down to, like I said, 8 by 12, because I want to use the strip to make one of the cards, just to save scrap. So obviously it's not a perfect square because mine is wider than it is tall. But all you're going to do, if you want the flap, if it was double-sided paper, you could fold down a flap and give yourself that look. You could fold it to the inside to give the top some sturdiness, which I think I'm going to do because normally I put eyelets in it, and I like them to be, you know, just a little bit more heft on the top. And that, again, you don't have to measure anything. Just use it, make it as straight as you can. I will say that a bone folder or a butter knife or whatever you have that, you know, to make your edges nice and crisp, straight, strong is going to be helpful to you here. And you can use glue or double-sided tape. I think it's faster with double-sided tape. So I'm just going to run a strip down on the edge of this side and this side. And all I'm doing is bringing my sides in to meet and leaving enough room so that when I put my tape down, I kind of like it in the middle. It doesn't have to be, but that's where I like it. So I'm just going to fold that. And you can see that I'm overlapping probably a ½ inch. You don't have to have that much. Just, you know, you can make it smaller than that. Just wide enough for your tape or glue, whatever you're going to use. And like I said, I'm going to use double-sided tape on this one. And I'm going to put a little bit under the flap on each side just to hold it down. If you were going to sew, you would want to sew now before you start gluing it together. I think that gives it it's easiest to do it that way, and it gives it the best look. I'm not going to sew on this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue. I lost my glue book, so I'm just going to use this piece of paper. So I'm going to run it down the edge of this one and on the edge of this one. And then fold them like so. All right, how easy is that? And right now we have our tube. So, and this is the back. Well, where is the back? See, the seam's so good you can't even hardly see it. It's right here. So I'm going to fold it up, and this part, again, make it whatever size you want. I usually do it about 2 inches. Let's just measure and see what I do. And you can make this however big. It's just a little bit, 2 1/4 is what I did on this one. Again, measurement doesn't matter. Just try to get it straight if you can and make your seams really strong there. And then we're going to open it up and we're going to push these 2 corners in to where your fold is going to lay flat on the line on the bottom where you fold it up. You want it to lay flat on that. So from the point, making sure your line is there, and then go out. Again, I've got that. You kind of want to pull, make sure your point is there. Sometimes I take my fingernail and run it across to make sure it's on the line. And I just kind of fold it up to make my folds that way. And then you'll take your bottom piece and just barely run your flap over the halfway point. Just barely over that. And then bring down your top, and you're going to cover the bottom up just a little bit. And I do all this folding before I glue so that I can see which pieces hit each other's where I don't have tape everywhere. So I know that I need to glue or tape right here, and not across the top. I'm not going to do across the top of this one, but I'm going to fold that down, and then I'm going to glue across the top of the one that's going to be on the outside. Careful not to do anything that's on the inside because I don't want my bottom to be glued to itself. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull the sides over to meet along this bottom. So this edge right here, we're going to fold it to run alongside that bottom edge. Same on the other side where it makes a little point. before you open it up, you know how we have these folds? If you fold it the other way along your same crease, it's going to make this next step a little easier. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And we're going to end where your side fold is, we're going to fold it towards the middle. And it will fold up just like your paper bags do that you get from lunches or whatever. It looks just like that. Isn't that neat and easy? Again, this tutorial wasn't to show you how to make this bag because I'm sure you already know how to do that. But what I like to do is I kind of stand the foot, I call it the foot, kind of stand it up. And you can take your cereal box, you know, your going to the trash boxes, and I just stand it on a piece of that and draw around the little foot of it. Just trace an outline of it. And then I'm going to cut on the inside of it because we want it to lay flat in the bottom of the bag. And since we drew around the outside, we need to cut on the inside. Probably didn't need to explain that, but so now you have a piece that should fit right in the bottom of your bag. And when you fold it up, it also, you can, sometimes you have to kind of move that or it'll lay back flat, but it will lay flat. And then also, I mean, you could have inked around it. Now, if you're going to put a pocket on the front, or, you know, sometimes what I envisioned to do with the one that had the pocket was I was going to sew the pocket on, but I forgot to do that before I taped it up. So you might want to do your folds, not glue anything, but make your folds before you sew on the pocket. That way you'll have a estimate of where to sew it on. But the only thing I didn't like, and this is just a tip, when I glued this pocket on, I did it of course with this shut, and I knew that I needed to be a little bit lower, but actually you could bring your pocket all the way down to almost where this flap is, because once you open it up, see, mine isn't centered from top to bottom. And I kind of didn't like that, but it's okay. So if you're going to put a pocket or a sentiment or anything, remember that when it opens up, you know, you need to do it that way. I bring it down closer to the bottom. But anyway, if I was going to put strings, I take my hole punch, and I like to do it while it's together like this, so that I make sure the front and back holes are the same. Make sure I'm not going to hit where your sides are at, because we don't want to run the hole through those. So I usually just put my holes right on the insides of those. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, don't have to measure, just use your best judgment, because I don't think whoever gets the gift is going to start critiquing your bag. You don't have to put eyelets in here. I'm going to, just because I have them and I like the looks of them. So there's that. But you don't have to do this part. I just discovered while I was doing the cleaning, I have a lot of things that I didn't even realize that I have. So I've told myself, start using them. You know, don't save them because you think you're going to run out. You're not going to run out. And even if you do, there's always more somewhere. Okay, so there are your eye holes. I think on this one I'm just going to use twine. And it, again, it doesn't matter how big or how long you make them. I'm just going to cut some off, and then I'm going to cut it in two. Run it through the holes. And again, you can do this a couple different ways. You can knot it on each side. I think since this is a smaller bag, I'm just gonna knot them together on the inside. And I say smaller bag because on the bigger bags, I think you want to do a knot at each hole, because this kind of tends to pull. If they're too far apart, it makes your bag gap, but this one is small, so I'm just going to do those together. And then you have your handles. And like I said, I'm sure everyone's probably been doing this, has done it. And you can, yes, certainly go to the Dollar Tree and get them and not do this. But if you already craft, you have so many things that you can use. Just look at that, look at what you have, and you'll be surprised at how many things you have that you can make these things and put your own personal touch on it. And it's going to mean so much more than a store-bought bag. And they're always so much prettier. So I think I'm going to put I don't know. I think I'm going to not put a cinnamon on this one, because I like to have some without anything. Just, I don't know if it's going to be a birthday. This one could even be Christmas. Christmas in July is coming, so I have some things planned for that. But, I mean, I think I'm going to leave the outside plain. If I wanted to add a pocket, I could certainly do that. Just cut a piece, sew around it, stick the little card in there, like this one. I love the way that looks. So, that's your bag. And again, the purpose of showing it to you to begin with wasn't because I thought it was difficult, just to show you all the things you could actually make them from. So now, along that line, we have this leftover piece. And I kind of found, if you're going to do a gift card, the best measurement, if you're going to measure, is 5.5 long, or widthwise is 5.5. If this was a directional paper, you'd probably want to pay attention to that part. And then my height is going to be about, I'm going to go about 3 3/4. I was doing 3.5, and it just didn't seem like that quite was tall enough. You can make them all different sizes. I mean, it doesn't matter if your gift card pokes out the top some, if it's even where you can just grab it like this. Or some of these, I didn't have quite as much paper, but I loved the paper, so I went ahead and made them anyway. And they're just a little shorter where your card will poke out, and I think that's fine. I don't think anybody's going to, pay any attention to that. So, again, the measurements don't really matter. For all that's worth, you could take your card, wrap your paper, leave about 1/4 inch at the bottom, and at the side for you to fold it. That's all that really has to be done. But the way I did it was, like I said, I folded up the bottom about 1/4 inch. And then I fold up one side or the other, just one, same, probably about 1/4 inch. Then after you've made those two folds, I fold it over to be even with this side. But fold before you do that, folding it in half. Take the bone folder, and then just open it back up. And this little section over here, we're just going to cut out. And then we're going to cut this little square out. And I just kind of do it at an angle, like that. And then I angle this piece on this side. And just for good measure, I angle the point at the top too. I don't know that any of that is necessary, but that's how I did it. Then I fold them back in. If you wanted it to be inked around, certainly could do that before you fold it back in and glue it. I have some extra here at the bottom. I figured I would. I was pretty shaky-handed and I didn't get it very straight. Also, before I glue it, well, no, I glue it first. So let me take that back. So I am going to ink around this one just because I think it kind of has that antique-y look paper. Leave this out for when I cut my finger hole. And I just used glue on this because these are so small. I didn't use my tape because I knew I would get it all over the inside and glue it shut. And I didn't want to do that. So I just used glue on these little sides. Glue it down. And then you have your gift card holder. The only other step is I took a hole punch, I'm sorry, a circle punch, and just made a finger hole. And there is your card holder. And this is not a real card. I don't even know where this came from. I've never used it, so don't fear that I'm showing a number of mine. I'm not. It was junk mail. You could put a little eyelet here and hang a charm down. So many things that you could make this special. Put a little sentiment here. You know, do something like on this one where you have the string and tie it around. This one I used a little bit of that twine. That would look pretty on something like this. Doing a little bow pin and hanging a charm would be pretty. Maybe some lace on this one. This is just to show you the structure of it. But I mean, seriously, think of all the paper that you have. The junk mail envelopes, the packing paper. And I just used stress sprays on this one and did some stamping. Cut out 2 circles, one in black and one from the packing paper to make it stand out a little better. These charms are actually made from these junk mail cards, and I'm hoping to have a tutorial on those as well. But I mean, not everybody is going to understand why you would make a gift card holder out of a junk mail envelope. But if it was someone who did scrapbooking or made junk journals, they would think, ooh, cool, I'm going to use this as a pocket in my junk journal, because yes, it could be glued down, it could be floating ephemera, whatever. But I mean, you can also make them really pretty too, like this one for a little girl. Add that little special touch to a gift card holder instead of buying them or whatever. You have so much paper that could just, even like my glue paper here, could cut out this and make a gift card holder. That would be pretty. Use the words and make a gift card holder, and maybe do some distress coloring or watercolor markers or anything to give it some color, and you would have the words in the background. Would be very pretty. And like I said, I know not everyone's gonna appreciate a grungy card. These are decoupage napkins, but they will appreciate that you put your touch on it and made it special for them, and it takes no time to do this. So I hope you found some inspiration. I hope your mind is racing of all the things that you can make with these, and I hope you will give these bags and gift card holders a try. I hope you will make some of these bags out of different papers and things that you probably have around. I'd be interested to know what kind of papers you're going to use. Of course, there's always the wrapping paper option. This is a great scrap buster too. And like I said, the mamagami paper, oh gosh, the feeling of that is so cool. I love that. So I hope you make some. Thanks for joining me, and let me know what your inspiration was from this video. Or if you weren't inspired at all, I'll take that. All right, till next time, I'll see you. Thanks, guys. Bye.